right, thank you so much for staying with us. Traditional medicine has been around for a very long time. Pharmaceutical research has even proven that many remedies are effective, but it struggles to be accepted by Western medicine. There's also stigma attached to the practice, with many still believing it is witchcraft. Now, the Mhlabuhlangene School of African Medicine is trying to change this, and the internationally accredited institution is helping empower African health practitioners. Let's discuss this now with Nkensani Tembe, Prof. Nkensani Tembe, and Dr. Mhlabuhlangene from the school, joining us this morning to give us not only a historical background, but more of what's being done to take, of course, traditional medicine forward in South Africa and around the world. Thank you for your time, Togos. Thank you for joining us. I'm so excited to have you here because I think it's important to talk about such institutions. And let's talk about, Prof, the Mhlabuhlangene School of African Medicine. When did it start and what's its background, its origins?
Okay, it was, hi again. It was an organization. It was established in 1996 with an intention, of course, of educating and what have you. The co-founders, they passed on. And there's one rector of school that was remaining, that is Professor S.C. Shabalala. Then what he did, he went and studied also at International Denominational School of Theology and Project. This is where they see the gap that they accredit Mhlabuhlangene. This is how it was established as an institution.
Yeah, and what's the importance of having such institutions in the country?
Okay, to have such an institution in the country is to transform, innovate, promote, and change also the mindset of the Sangomas as per se, not to have academic records because there's no merits into it. If you go for initiation, therefore, it's just a norm, you just nobody, there's nothing that is linked to it. So he saw the gap and the niche that, come on guys, can't we have academics around it?
Right.
Then Interdenominational School of Theology and Project, because they intertwine with African spirituality, then they accredited Mhlabuhlangene.
Dr. Mhlabuhlangene, you are a student, I understand, at the institution. Why was it important for you to enroll?
So obviously I went and I trained and I've completed my graduation. But like Prof was saying, that after that you don't have anything solid behind you. And I also found it important for me to also enhance my knowledge of getting to know the plants that I'm actually using, because they're very vital, and these plants, some of them do have side effects. And as doctors that we now are, majority of us don't know what those side effects are. And also with administering medication and doing it in a correct way, it is something that I found was also very important. And then another thing is also, as she's saying, also to bridge the gap between traditional African medicine and Western medication, so that we're able to work hand in hand and assist one another. For instance, if I have a patient that comes through to me and there's an ailment that I'm unable to help them with, I can now transfer them to a Western doctor and they're able to sort out the problem.
Yeah. Any stigma you've encountered, whether it be because you enrolled to the institution, because you are still a part of a conversation trying to merge Western and traditional, medicine, have you almost experienced resistance as a traditional healer for the decision you took to enroll with the institution?
Not necessarily a stigma with enrolling with the institution, but just a stigma with African spirituality and being a traditional healer. That stigma is still there, and I find it very important. That's why that's why we got into TikTok and all these social media networks, so that we're able to educate people, for them to see that actually African traditional spirituality is not witchcraft, because the Witchcraft Act was actually banned. It was taken away. So we need to now remove that stigma that is attached. It is now our responsibility to remove that stigma that is attached and educate people with what we are doing, because we were shunned upon in the past, there was a dark cloud that was over us. And Sangomas and traditional healers were people that were in hiding because of the stigma, So now we are coming to the foreground, and we are now trying to educate people and teach them with our teachings and with exactly what it is that we are doing, and remove that stigma.
And Prof, why I mean, how many days are we to 2023? 3 days or so to 2023. Why still that stigma that Doc Simphiwe is talking about, whereby there's still a perception that traditional, African spirituality and healing is still associated to witchcraft? And I say this because it doesn't just only come from other races.
Yes.
Even black people, African people. I see it on social media. Some people, if you do publicly declare that you have consulted or you engage with Usangoma, you are shunned down upon. Why is it still existing?
I can't say that much, but why it's existing, because there's an act that was amended. There's an act of 2000 that was amended that we are no longer a witchcraft, but we are African practitioner. It's the stigma that it will still go on until further, I don't know, notice or whatever, but we are still struggling also because we also applied for South African accreditation 2 years ago because we are international accredited, and yet to date we haven't had a response from South African accreditation. So it's a gray area that we are trying all the angle, even the founding of the school, because remember the school is a non-profit organization. There's no funding that is coming forth, though we are academically recognized, because there's medical aid, certain medical aids they are paying us as African doctors. So they will, the stigma, it won't go away also if we don't also change the culture, us as in spiritual people. If you go to a Sangoma or an African doctor that is not well trained in terms of professionalism, you can see they are not even using hygienically a product. So no one will actually want to associate. The way we speak in public, it's also another point. A professional doctor will never go out there and actually expose our African a practice. So it's still a gray area for us that we are still fighting that.
If I may ask you mentioned working alongside medical aids. How did that come about, and what's that relationship like, yourselves alongside some medical aids who work with you as traditional leaders?
So medical aid, what they do, they look for people who's got academic. So Mhlabuhlangene, they use a system that is called RPL system. That is your recognition of prior learning. Basically, whatever that you've learned, but you don't have qualification for, then what we do, we profile you, because SACA Act, it requires us to actually profile you and build your profile. Then you can have academic records, and then you form part of SOP, he touch based in terms of the likes of referring clients to another healer or referring clients to the hospital, because we work hand in hand with them.
Right.
So.
Dr. Solomon, and I want to talk about that because you also mentioned the importance of understanding traditional medicine in the sense of knowing your plants and also understand the importance and significance of how to package, right? Take me through that. Also creating products using plants. I mean, surely that should be a very significant, important part of your journey as a healer.
Okay, so with the programs that the school does offer, you obviously go in depth into learning indigenous plants and the plants that you use, because as a healer you learn all the time. You know, so you are constantly learning. And there's a saying that I always use, that I am an ancestor of the future. So what I do now is going to have an impact. So it's not just learning the plants as well, but it's also having record and documentation for future healers that are going to come after me, so that they are able to reference back to what I was using, my mythology.
The methodology.
Yeah, right. I will be using and the likes. So it's just also to have something on paper, and because our forefathers weren't able to document things, which is very, very important.
Yeah.
So with Western medication, they've got theses, they've got journals and such things. So now with the school, when we study, we are actually writing a thesis. We are doing case studies. So future doctors will now be able to go back onto that and be able to cross-refer and be able to help clients with ailments maybe that they haven't seen. And then when it comes to the packaging of of medication. Back in the days, you'd go to a traditional healer and they'd give you something in a newspaper and write a few words on it. When you get home, you've forgotten, okay, do I need to steam with this? Do I need to bath with it? Yes, you know, there's no instructions. They've literally said it to you by word of mouth. And now it's very, very important to have specific instructions on the medication, because this is medication. It's important to have specific instructions as to how many times are you taking this medication. Is it something that you bath with? Is it something that you need to ingest? Is it something that is, you know what I mean? It's something that you need to steam with. And then also the hygienic aspect of this, because some of the things you are ingesting, so you putting on gloves while you mix your traditional medicine is something that is very vital. Back in the days, they didn't do that. And contamination of, you'd go and maybe, I don't know, go to the bathroom, for instance, for lack of a better example. Go to the bathroom and then come back, ukaimiti. And that's germ and contamination that is going into something that somebody would need to ingest. So being part of the school is teaching you how to keep your products clean, how to package your products,
just to come on what she's referring to, cross-contamination is an issue. Like bacteria, you cannot see with your naked eye. So when you educate them about the hygienic part of it and the cross-contamination when packaging, and if you are using a paper, remember a paper, there's a chemical concentration on the paper. So when you package your product on a paper, automatically it gets humid. So when you go home, what it does, it transfers that to the medicine. So if you're gonna be consuming that, it becomes a problem. So at Mhlabuhlangene, there's different types of qualifications or studies that we do. Like if you register as NQF 6, that is our main entry that is our level when you register. And there's different, is NQF 6, NQF 7, NQF 8. It's got credit until to the professorship.
Right. Perhaps maybe clarify some misconception, because oftentimes we hear, and maybe I stand to be corrected if whether or not this informs why most of the information around traditional healing is not documented. We often hear that it's a very sacred space. It's a space that only a select few who are chosen should know about. And I just wonder if this is a misconception. Hence, we haven't seen a lot of public records when it comes to, like you said, medicine, how to use it, instructions, etc. Or it's supposed to be out to be consumed by both traditional leaders and by ordinary people who are seeking assistance. Perhaps you can clarify if that's why we haven't seen such public records before. Prof?
Public records, you cannot publish. It's private and confidential, right? But when you go to packaging, if you are doing a product, like there's a course that is crafting, that means you can do an organic soap, you can do your candles with herbs. So that one you can actually, you need to do the description of how to use that candle. Maybe it's a prayer candle, how to use that. If it's a soap, then that one, it needs your description. But in terms of the backyard, that is your surgery, you need to do a standard operational procedure. When the client walks in, you consult that client and you have to write in. Everything needs to be documented.
Dr. Mhlabuhlangene, let's talk about the benefits of such a program to a traditional healer, not only in the confines of South Africa, but in the continent and in the world. It's an institution internationally accredited. Where is its place in the rest of the world? Does the institution, the programs, place traditional healers in international conversations, in global context, or does it limit them only in South African context, do you think, as a student?
As a student, like the institution being internationally accredited, so obviously I'm an international doctor, and my voice should be heard internationally. The education that I give other doctors should be of an international standard. So I feel that it places me at an international standard.
And I'm asking this question because I think during COVID-19, we did have conversations with both traditional leaders and Western medicine practitioners to say, are you coming together to come up with solutions for the pandemic? Is this an isolated conversation where the WHO tells the rest, the et ceteras, what to do and how to do it? Or is there more of a dialogue internationally? And I wonder if that's also the aim, Prof, to say
It is.
We have to be on the table internationally and also contribute.
Exactly, it is. So we want to go that route. Remember, it was a gray, as I always say, that it is always a gray area whereby we'll hear about that at the end. Or they will literally go and pick up a traditional healer that doesn't have papers, that doesn't have academic records whereby he will document, he will do proper research, and he will be able to have a traceability, and then there will be a memorandum of understanding between the Westernized and the African traditional doctor. So there's a gap because they just pick up someone, then they run what? They run a case study without the knowledge. You will give anything to anyone that wants you to contribute. But if you are academically accredited, therefore you will have something to write on that. On this date and this date, we discussed this and this. There will be a proposal. So it's something that they will never come to us and say, Mhlabuhlangene, or can you handle this? Because they know for a fact that we will ask for such.
All right, we have to leave it there. But before I do, where can our viewers get a hold of you in case they want more information, want to enroll, want to inquire? Any information about how to get a hold of you?
There is our Facebook, Mhlabuhlangene, www.mhlabuhlangene, TikTok, Professor Tembe. There's Mhlabuhlangene Herbs. There's Instagram. There's my page.
Yeah, so all social
Professor
media.
Yeah, I'm also on social media.
All right.
And info@mhlabuhlangene.gov. And my number is 076 34 59571.
All right.
They can reach me there.
All right. Thank you so much, Prof. Tembe and Dr. Mhlabuhlangene. Thank you so much for joining us and enlightening us. Just ahead of 2023, this is the conversation we needed. Just ahead of the new year. Prof. Tembe from Mhlabuhlangene School of African Medicine, as well as Dr. Mhlabuhlangene, who's a student there, of course, speaking more highly of this fully accredited international Association for Quality Assurance in Higher Education institution, internationally accredited at that.